My name's Paul Ormerod. I set up a company nearly 10 years ago now called euConnect, and it expressly focuses on making short-form digital media about innovation and entrepreneurship and early-stage enterprise, and also a sideline on making stuff about climate change and low-carbon economy, but I'm not going to talk about that. LIME, if you can read the rather small text under it, stands for the Library of Interactive Media for Entrepreneurs. And our aim, we're just in the process of registering this company and getting it funded, we hope. And my purpose today to be here is really to say I'm very interested in getting any feedback that you have to what I'm going to talk about. So it's an online support tool for entrepreneurs, for business incubators, for industry clusters, and for educators of entrepreneurs around the world. So in the presentation, I'm going to tell you what it is, who are the customers, because without customers, there's no point in doing it, and without listening to the customers, you'll get it wrong. How do we make money, because that's always an interesting topic, and how much money do we make, which I suspect I'm one of the first people who's going to actually be up front with you on that. And how can we do it? In other words, what's the team behind this idea? Because if you talk to any investor, without a team, you don't even stand a chance. So let's go to the next one. So what is LIME? LIME is a collection of both short media-based stories about entrepreneurship and about early-stage business. They're meant to be inspiring, they're meant to be informative. They're all focusing on entrepreneurship and the support systems that wrap around entrepreneurship, which is incubation and clusters and the educational environment for entrepreneurs. But we also want to provide tools to those people who are actually entrepreneurs and those who support them, which will help in planning and building businesses, so interactivity and that sort of thing. And in a sense, we're planning to set up a global knowledge transfer network to do with entrepreneurship, so we should tell the TSB about this. And we'll certainly learn from some of the things that they've done in their KTN environment over the last several years. Now, timing is everything in entrepreneurship, and we wouldn't do this if we didn't think that now is exactly the right time. We think we're on a cusp in terms of the global attention that is being paid to entrepreneurship as an economic solution for, to some degree, stagnation and to get us out of the situation we're in. We think governments around the world are expressly putting this up the top of their agenda. We've talked to a lot of them. They agree with us, which is encouraging. We also think that there's a lot of difference in the way education, and particularly tertiary education, is being done these days. We're familiar with things like the Harvard case study approach to teaching entrepreneurship. We think, in our humility, that that's a bit passé and that you ought to actually start to use storytelling, start to talk to entrepreneurs, start to talk to people who can actually tell you about the journey. So we think that we're in a good position to help would-be educators of entrepreneurs, and there are 171 universities in Europe that teach entrepreneurship, would you believe? We think we're in a good space to help them with what we're doing. We're interested not in best practice, but in better practice or next practice. That sounds like splitting hairs, but it's actually, I think best practice is terribly complacent and self-congratulatory. So we want to look at what's the thing that's over the horizon. We believe that, how will we make money? Okay, we believe that it's much easier to sell a small number of big license fees to individual countries than it is for me to try and sell 100 licenses a year to individual universities, individual clusters, or whatever. So our aim is to go and talk to national governments, to the specific agency that is responsible for innovation, support and entrepreneurship in this country. It might be the TSB, but it's probably BIS, or it might be the Department of Higher Education, which is also within BIS to an extent. We want them to say, okay, we will pay you a lump of money and then you can arrange for free access, essentially, to all our institutions in our national borders who might be interested in entrepreneurship and its support. So to give you an example, we're talking to the Czech Republic at the moment about them using 55,000 euros of their European Regional Development Funds in year one and 35,000 euros thereafter every year That then gives free access to all of the institutions within their country, their universities, their trade associations, their business incubators, their industry clusters.
Sorry, you pay them or they pay you?
No, they pay us. And then we make some local content for them to give it a sort of a local hook, if you like. So we go and make a couple of local stories about entrepreneurship. But that also works two ways. That then showcases them to the rest of the world. And also we bring in what's happening in the rest of the world and show them what's happening, for instance, in the borders in Hungary or in Singapore or Hong Kong or whatever. So we make some local content. And if they've got lots of money and they want to spend lots of their European Regional Development Funds, which the Commission incidentally wants them to spend on innovation rather than bridges and roads, then they can give it to us and we make lots more local stories for them. So it's not limited in that sense. So this is a big ambition. When do we think it's going to be available? We own the copyright on a core collection of about 40 short films on entrepreneurship and innovation and clusters and incubators. We have access to about another 20 or 30 or 40 from people that we're working with, particularly in the entrepreneurship education area. Some of those they give us for free because we publicise what they're doing. Some of them we might have to pay them a royalty. We're working to raise some funding at the moment, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. We hope to launch this thing at the end of this year. I'm actively in discussion with people as far afield as Hong Kong, Sweden, the Czech Republic, and other Southeast and Eastern European countries in particular, because they are wanting to leapfrog their entrepreneurial capability to be internationally competitive. And the thing down the bottom is a target of what we would like to have in terms of national licenses. Let me tell you a little bit about our overweening ambition to make money. We think that this is a very profitable business. It's a recurrent revenue business. So in a sense, if you think about things like, photocopy machines, where do they make money out of the ongoing sort of consumables thing? So we're providing an ongoing annual license. If we do the right thing by people, then there's no reason why they shouldn't continue to stay with us, although there'll be a small churn. So by year 3, we think we can be making about 2.5 million profit euros on a turnover that's around about 4 million. So that gives us plenty of slack to up the production schedule if we want to. So I'm nearly finished, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about, that's who I am incidentally and how you get hold of me, if you want to talk to me away from this. We are in the process at the moment of talking to some investment funds up in the northeast of England, actually in Newcastle, wherever we are up there. And that's a mixture, strangely, of European Regional Development funding and local angel funding. There is a quite substantial fund up there which happens to dole out money in exactly the right size tranches that we want, and then can do follow-on funding. So we hope to raise initially 200,000 from them and possibly more by the end of the year. But it's dependent on us getting some letters of intent from some of these national governments. So that's what Lime is about. I hope I've more or less done my 5 minutes worth.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Okay.
That's great.